And I was like, Hey guys, it's summer, and I'm just like really not in the mood today to like talk and like make a video. And my chair that I'm sitting on makes this really ugly squeaking noise. It's going to be a storytime video because I was thinking of this coming home today, and I was like, this is actually a freaking funny story, and I think it would be an interesting video. This story takes place down at the beach, and it was last summer, so it's pretty recent, and it has to do with me and my mom and my sister all went on a girls' vacation. I go down to the same beach every summer, and I'm very familiar with like the area and the beach and everything. So this year, there was a new lifeguard on stand at our beach that we go to, and he was chill and cool, and like we would always kind of like stay by the lifeguard, like set up our umbrella and towels and blankets or whatever around the lifeguard area. So we got talking to him, he said that he was a college student or whatever, and he was being a lifeguard. And we were just like, oh, cool, like, he seemed like a really nice person. This guy, like, we still continued to see him, like, all this whole week going down to the beach, and, then we went home. And so then I, didn't even care. Like, he was a nice guy, but I didn't really, like, remember. I wasn't, like, thinking about him or anything. So, next time I came down to the beach, it was a girls' vacation yet again, but this time I had brought my best friend Michelle, which is also the same Michelle that was in the other video with me. So, me and her would go for walks on the beach, and we'd walk, like, a couple, like, I would say, like, about 1.5 miles, like, up the beach one way, and 1.5 miles the beach other way. Maybe not even that long. Probably shorter, but it felt like a long walk. Anyway, we'd walk up and down the beach to get some exercise if we were just kind of bored or whatever. And so we walked past his station. We were still close by him because we always are close, but this time we weren't close enough to talk. We were just kind of, like, by his station enough so that if he walked by, like, he'd be able to, like, see us. So me and Michelle were gonna go for a walk, so we passed by his station, like, his big lifeguard chair. And he was like sitting up high because he was in the chair, of course, and see, I'm a short person, so I was down by like the water, the sand area, like, I wasn't super close to him. And so then he yelled at me. He was like, hey, you! And I was like, oh, and then I realized that he was yelling and that he was directing it towards me. So I went over and he was like, hey, do you remember me? And I was like, yeah, like, you're the lifeguard that's usually here. And he was like, yeah, like, you guys were here, like, 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to, like, you and your mom and stuff when you guys were here. And I was like, oh, yeah, like, that's us, whatever. And he was just like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't even know. We were just having a little conversation, and, like, it was totally fine. Like, I love talking to people. I have no problem with people approaching me and saying stuff, like, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna not talk to them. I will definitely hold a conversation with you, even if it is awkward, which it was, so I was still fine with, like, holding a conversation, but it was weird, because, like, do you remember me? Like, oh, like, he acted as if, like, me and him really talked. The thing about it is that the person that he talked to the most when me and my mom and my sister were at the beach previously was my mom, because my mom loves to talk, and, like, she was just having a good conversation with him about, like, his job or whatever, and so that's what they were doing, but he wasn't really talking to me, so it wasn't like he was saying that to my mom. Like, he was asking me if I remembered him. So I was like, well, yeah, I do, because I was with them. Like, I did see my mom talking to him and saying hi and stuff, but it wasn't like I was really talking to him and having this full conversation with him. So that was weird, but I didn't really catch up on that. Like, I didn't really catch in on it. Like, I didn't care. And so we had a little conversation, and I was like, oh, well, me and my friend are gonna go for a walk, like, up the beach or whatever. And he was like, okay, well, say hi on your way back down or whatever. And I was like, all right. So me and her were like, oh my gosh, like, why did he think to, like, say that to me? Like, why did he think to say, like, oh, do you remember me? Like, why does he care about me? Like, it was weird because he's a lifeguard. He sees people all the time. Like, there's a different whole group of people on the beach, like, every week, because a family vacation usually lasts for about a week, and then, it cycles out, and, like, new people come. So it was just very weird that he remembered me. And I was just confused about it. And so was she, but she thought it was cool because she was like, oh, like, he seems chill, like, he's a lifeguard, and, like, that's how I felt too. And I really didn't see any problem with it. So I didn't care. And so then we did come back down the beach, I said hi to him like I said I would. And then at the end of the day, like, we were still swimming and stuff. And throughout the day, like, I would see him, like, looking at me. Like, he would be, like, in his lifeguard stand, and he would be, like, looking over at our area a lot. And we would go in the water, and he'd always watch us when we went in the water. And I was just kind of like, he is, like, not just looking around. Like, he is, like, purposefully looking at me. And, like, And I definitely knew he was looking at me because he had asked me if I remembered him, and like he wanted me to say hi to him, and like he wanted to talk to me, and he seemed very like eager to like say hi to me. So I knew that he was looking at me like the whole time. Like it was weird. Like he was like of course looking around like being a lifeguard and stuff, but I just knew that he was looking at me. Sorry, my sister is screaming. I don't know if you can hear it. But so, on that note, it was weird because, like, I started to get weird feelings, but not really. Like, I was kind of, like, more, like, I don't know how to say it. I was more, like, intrigued. Not interested as in, like, oh, like, he's looking at me. Like, I was just, like, really wondering why. Like, if something is going on that doesn't make sense, I always try to get to the bottom of it and, like, understand why it's happening. So, yeah, I was trying to understand, like, why he remembered me, why he wanted to talk to me, and why he kept looking at me the entire time me and Michelle were at the beach. And so, yeah. So then at the very end, like, we were leaving and stuff, and he was like, oh, hey, like, I said bye. Because I'm a nice person, and even though I was kind of, like, confused, I still said bye to him. I was like, bye. We're gonna go now, like, see ya. And he was like, oh, like, is this your last time you're gonna be at the beach for the whole summer? And I was like, yeah. And this actually was the last time we were at the beach, because I was going back to school the next week, so it was our last beach day, and the next couple of days we did other stuff. And so I was like, yeah, like, it is our last day at the beach, like, I'm starting school next week or whatever, like, I'm not gonna probably be here for, like, a long time. And so he was like, oh my gosh, like, that's crazy, here, you have my number, we should stay in touch. And I was like, okay, like, I guess. And he was being really weird about it. I was like, okay, well, I have my phone, like, do you want to put it in? Like, I really didn't care. Like, I'm just a friendly person, and Michelle even says that I'm too nice and too friendly, and it gets me in situations like this, like, it does. And, I was like, all right, like, do you want to put it in my phone? He was like, no, I don't want to put it in your phone. Here, I'll write it down. He was like, it'll look weird if you hand me your phone. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, that's sketchy. Like, he wouldn't want to just put it directly in my phone. Like, he wanted to write it down on a piece of paper. And he was like, all right, I'll write it. And so he wrote it. And, he put it, like, down for me to grab it, and I took it, and I was like, all right, yeah, like, I'll text you. And so, we went home. I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like, the nice lifeguard that you're talking to gave me his number, and she was so excited about it. Like, she thought he was the nicest guy, like, she thought he was, like, such a good kid, like, he was in college, like, he's 19, like, she thought he was just, like, really good. And so she was excited. She was like, oh, yeah, like, text him. Like, he could be, like, your little beach buddy or whatever. Like, you might see him next summer. And I was like, okay. She was like, give it a day. Don't text him right away. And so I didn't. But then the next thing happened was we decided to go to the beach the next day. And he was, of course, there. So me and Michelle went on our walk up the beach, and I saw him. And this time when I saw him, I waved to him, but he seemed, like, standoffish. He seemed kind of, like, pissed off. He seemed like he was agitated. Not really at me, but just in general. Like, he just seemed like he was having a bad day. So I was like, oh, maybe he's just busy, like, whatever, like, mentally. And so I didn't really care, because I didn't really care in the first place. Like, he was just a nice friend or whatever. And so we just kept, like, walking, and then I waved again. And then he still acted standoffish. Like, he acted like he saw me, but didn't really see me. He just kind of treated me like he treated, like, everybody else on the beach, which was completely different from how he treated me the day before when he had given me his number. So I was like, oh, well, that's kind of weird. So, then I went to dinner that night, and I had his number, like, with me still, like, in my bag or whatever. And so I said to, Michelle, I was like, I'm gonna text him. And she was like, okay, like, yeah, it's been, like, a day, like, I guess, whatever. And I was like, hopefully he doesn't think I didn't want to talk to him, like, today when I waved to him, because I didn't text him. And so I texted him. I'm gonna call him Tim. His name is definitely not Tim. So I texted Tim, and I was like, hey, Tim, it's Summer, the girl from the beach, what's up, or whatever. And he was like, oh, hey. He answered, like, right away. Like, he had his read receipts on. He read it right away. He answered right away. He was really excited about it, and he was like, oh, hey, like, I thought I would never hear from you. And I was like, yeah. And me, like, I was, like, upfront about it. I was like, today I was at the beach, I waved to you, and you seemed like you thought I was never going to talk to you or something. And he was like, yeah, my thoughts exactly. I didn't think you were going to ever text me. And I was like, yeah, I just didn't want to, like, bother you, so I just, like, waited a day. And he was like, oh, no, like, it's not a bother or whatever. Like, what's up? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, like, I'm out at dinner. I'm hanging out with my friend and my mom and my sister. And he was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, you guys should come down to my beach later. And I was like, no, we can't. Like, we're gonna go to the boardwalk and we're gonna do some like amusement rides. And he was like, oh, okay, but I would like love for you to come to my beach sometime, and like I could tell you about my job more and like show you like stuff. And I was like, yeah, like that's cool, but like I'm going to the boardwalk tonight. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, I would totally come down and see you guys if I had a car. And I was like, oh, but we didn't invite you. Like, of course I didn't say that. I could have, I didn't. But like, I don't know. It was just a little bit too friendly for somebody that you had just met, wanting to hang out with your family and your friend, like on your family vacation. Like, that's a little bit like too much. And so I was just kind of like, no, like, whatever. I didn't say no. I just said, okay, we're going to go to the boardwalk, whatever. Didn't really talk to him. Then later that night, I was just like, I don't even know what made me ask, but I was like, what really, like, made you remember me? Like, you see a lot of girls that probably look about the same, like, on the beach wearing sunglasses in a bathing suit, and you pretty much, like, knew that was me from, like, 2 weeks ago. And he was like, honestly, like, you were on my mind that whole entire time that you weren't at the beach and I didn't see you. I kept thinking about you, and I thought I would never see you again. So when I saw you, I had to make sure that I talked to you because I thought you'd be gone forever. And I was just kind of like, oh, like, awesome. Like, I go to the beach, like, I'm with my family, my little sister, and a lifeguard who's supposed to be saving people is attracted to me and then thinks about me for 2 weeks when I'm at my house, probably sitting around, playing guitar and singing and talking to my friends and stuff, and this lifeguard is literally thinking about me, wondering where I am. Like, okay, like, that's not creepy, like, at all or anything. And so I was like, oh, like, really? Like, wow, like, I didn't know how to react because, once again, like, he wasn't really talking to me. He was talking to my mom mostly. So we were, like, texting and stuff, and, like, he was nice, and, like, it was, like, nice to, like, talk because he wasn't super weird. And now that I look back and, like, put it all together, it's actually pretty weird. But at the time, I didn't really think it was that weird. He said to me, he was like, yeah, like, me and you should, like, hang out in the winter and stuff. Like, when I get a car, I should come see you and stuff. And I was just like, oh, like, yeah, like, that'd be so cool. Like, no, like, I just really don't even know how to respond to stuff like that. Just trying to be nice, but it was that, like, a little bit too nice for it to be real kind of situation. Like, is this really real, or are you actually a creeper? And yeah, he's actually a creeper. And, like, he was talking about how he wanted to, like, date me. And, like, I forget what he said, but he was just like, yeah, like, you could come No, this is what happened. I was going home. I was in the car when he said this, and I was like, oh, like, it's my last day here, we packed up, we're driving home, so, like, it's, like, we're leaving, and he was like, oh my gosh, like, it would be so nice if you could stay with me in my condo, like, I would take such good care of you, like, I would tuck you in at night, I would make you food. I was just like, what? Like, I literally don't know this guy at all. I talked to him, like, twice in person, got his number, he gave it to me, and, like, he wants me to sleep in his condo, he wants to make food for me, and take care of me like I'm his, like, child. Like, that is so weird. Like, I don't understand, like, why somebody thinks that sounds okay and that's, like, acceptable. Like, that sounds scary and creepy. And then, like, he would say random weird stuff. He'd be like, I hope you're not some kid because I want a woman. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, I literally did not like him. Like, I didn't like him. Like, I was very nice. Like, I didn't cause any problems. I didn't, like, tell him straight up that I didn't like him until, I did have to tell him eventually because he started saying really weird stuff. For example, he was like, yeah, I want a woman. Like, I don't want some girl. And I was like, I'm sorry if I'm, like, some girl, but you're right. I am some girl. I'm 17. You're 19. Go find your woman that wants to stay in your condo and live with you. I don't want it. Sorry at it. And I blocked his number, and I basically just told him, I was like, I like somebody in my hometown, or I worded it weird, but I made it sound like I did, and I worded it. I was just like, I like somebody in my hometown, and, like, I'm really interested in them, so that's a little bit weird, sorry, like, I just really like them. And I just told him that, and he was just like, oh, like, he was really butthurt, honestly, like, he was mad, but, like, how could he expect me to like him just from talking to me, like, for a couple days? Like, just because you get a girl's number and, like, text her, it doesn't mean that she's automatically gonna feel the same way for you if you, like her. Okay, guys, that was a crazy story time video, and I will have more like it for sure. So if you did like this one, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more, please subscribe for more videos. Read them. I know this video was really crazy and creepy, so if you have any like opinions on it or whatever, just let me know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.